Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning from Massachusetts. How are you today? It's June. It's the start of summer. I hope the month is starting out well for all of you. I am going to do a quick check of video and audio on my laptop. If you can hear me well and see me well and you're in the chat, you can give me a thumbs up or just let me know. And by the way, everyone is welcome to watch. We have about an hour of 30 to 60 minutes of studying together. But if you'd like to participate in the chat, just click join, and it is a member-only chat, okay? All right, let me do a quick check on my laptop. Okay, looks like it's showing well on my end. How are you all this morning, and how is June starting out? It's a little muggy here. Do you know that word, muggy? Let me put that word as M-U, muggy as an adjective. It was warm yesterday. It's a little cooler today. I took a walk with my dog, as I usually do in the morning, and you can feel that more rain might be coming. It's a little cool, but not too cold. So there's moisture in the air, and it feels kind of heavy. There's that humidity, and so it's kind of muggy today. My hair gets frizzy. That might happen to other people too. This kind of weather is muggy. Good. Thanks for confirming. Sunny and windy there. Wow. And where is everyone else? Feel free to join the chat. Let me know. Hello, if you're watching the recording. I hope your day is going well, and thank you for taking time out of your day to study with me. As usual, we have a couple of questions that were sent in. So anytime you have a question, feel free to put in the comments. I do check comments daily and do my best to answer, but members also have the opportunity to send in specific questions or requests ahead of the live stream. And then I can prepare tasks to target those requests. And then after this live stream, I'll be posting follow-up tasks on the community tab. So it's a way to gain some extra practice. Again, just click that join button and you can become a member of your channel. So thank you to all current members for choosing to study a little bit beyond the videos. Okay. Hopefully someone will join Stunning Lad 1 there. Okay, I'm going to work my little magic and get over to my screen, and hopefully you can see what I see. Let's take a look. Can you see that? We're going to start with vocabulary. Okay. You probably know, if you've studied with me for a while, through videos or live lessons, even through live streams, I love movies. I love working with movies in different ways. They give us such a wonderful, meaningful context. We can take scenes and watch them and discuss them. We can take the script and use it for pronunciation. I also like sharing movie reviews, things that I write or I ask students to also summarize and react to movies. So I just find it's a wonderful source of content for language learning. If you don't watch movies, please try, because there's so much you can gain from it. If you choose a movie that you like, you'll want to watch it a number of times, which is really good for comprehension. Sometimes people ask me, should I do it with or without captions? And I say kind of both. There's different strategies. I usually suggest just watching. You could watch it once to get a sense of the film. If you've watched it in translation, that's all right, because you want to generally understand what it's about. But you can watch a scene, for example, without captions to see how much you understand. If you really want to take it further, you can write out what you hear, again, working with a very short segment, like a minute or so. Write what you hear. It takes time, but it's a great test of comprehension. And then you can watch with captions and check to see which words you missed or which words you did not hear correctly. And then with the captions off, you listen once again and you will be surprised, like, oh, now I hear it, right? You can go back yet again and then start learning the lines and reading with the actors. That's called shadowing. So again, there's quite a lot that you could do with a movie script, just even a short segment, okay? Okay, How many of you have seen a movie called The Holdovers? Let me go a little bigger here. Doot, doot, doot. I know some of you are watching on a small screen. How's that? Okay, is that big enough? The Holdovers is a film I recently watched. I admit some of my movie recommendations come from my children. My son loves films too, especially, and he recommended this movie to me, The Holdovers. Came out in 2023, so it's fairly recent. And you can watch the trailer on YouTube and see if that's a genre that you like. But I enjoyed it. I would watch it again. I also enjoyed the cast very much. I enjoyed their performances. Okay, if you got a movie recommendation, feel free to put it in the comments for me and for others. So in this exercise, I have 5 sentences, and I want to see if you can put these 5 words into the correct sentences. The first thing I want to call your attention to is the word forms, specifically the endings, right? Even if you see a new word for the first time and you're like, I don't know that, look at it and see what you do know. So for example, you see ER, troublemaker. That should tap into your knowledge of how words are formed. Teacher, reporter, right? Doctor, ER and OR endings usually represent a person. So this is a noun. And then within it, you can see make and trouble. So make trouble, troublemaker. Can you deduce? Can you guess who that kind of person is? Right? Believable. Again, you look inside, you see, I know the word believe, but what about this ending? ABLE. Believable, doable, readable, anything able, capable has to do with ability. That's a suffix that you should know. ABLE, that's an adjective. Hey, Manuel is here. Okay, let's not get into the sentences yet. Rebel could be a noun or a verb. If you don't know it, you would use process of elimination, right? So if you think, okay, I can probably guess these 2 words and put them in context. So you move on. And then if you don't know rebel, you could put it in at the end through process of elimination. Deceased, think of your endings. You know that adjectives sometimes end in ed and ing, like interested, interesting. So this could be a past participle acting as an adjective. Grouchy, look at the ending, y. Think of words that you know that end in y. Grouchy, tasty, what would be another one? Trying to think. Happy, right? So a lot of adjectives end in y. If you understand word forms, that helps you put them into sentences correctly, okay? All right, I see Manuel and Stunning Ladder jumping into the exercise. So let's see if you got number 1 right. Again, we're talking about this film called The Holdovers. The film is set in the 1970s, and both the costumes and hairstyles make this. What about number 1, guys? Did you get the first one? Believable. Yes, you got it. So we'll take this out. Here, we'll put it in here. Right? That's what movies are supposed to do, right? They make us believe that what we're seeing is real, right? Hollywood works its magic and it makes it believable. The costumes and hairstyles make this easy to believe, believable, possible to believe. Number 2, what did you guys say? You guys agreed? Well, let's see. It's one of these 2, right? And maybe through process of elimination, we'll figure it out, because those who know this word would know that it could be a noun or a verb, rebel or rebel. So perhaps we need to go on and see if these words could fit somewhere else. So I'm going to jump ahead to 3 and see if you figure that out. Well, be careful. Okay. Do we need a noun here? Number 2. What did you guys say? 2. Your first suggestion was rebel. But think about it. This could be a noun, like this person and that person do something. But if you look at the verb, it's singular, which means I'm not talking about two people, I'm talking about one. So in which case, I don't need a noun, I need an adjective. I need an adjective to describe this teacher. Strict is not necessarily a positive word, so you might think of another adjective that has some sort of negative connotation and negative meaning. Okay, I'm going to come back to that one, okay? With number 3, an irritable old man. Irritable, look at that ABL ending, ABLE, right? Irritate is like annoy, so irritable. Things easily irritate him. He gets upset and annoyed easily. The irritable older man forms a surprising and special connection with a young, look at the grammar, a young, I definitely need a noun here. So it could be one of these words. A young person who desperately needs kindness and understanding. Yes, I agree. Stunning lad one. I would put troublemaker here. He's a young person who makes trouble, who creates trouble. I'll make that a little smaller. 4, they also bond with the school's head cook, who is grieving for her recently son. Grieving, right? Very sad about a loss. What happened to the son? Yes, Manuel, I also see that you figured out number 2. Deceased son, I agree. Good job, guys. Right? We want to say in a nice way, a polite way, a respectful way that the son died. He passed away somehow recently. I won't specify that here. You'll learn in the movie. So she's sad about the loss of her son. By the end, you're cheering for each character as they against everything that is beating them down, and you wish for their happiness. As they, subject, verb. We already identified this as an adjective, which means we only have one verb to choose from. And I see you guys got it. Not rebel, but rebel. Notice that some words can be a noun or a verb, right? But then the word stress might change. We have that, for example, with record. I'm recording this live stream, and then record, right? Like set a world record. So record, record. This is another word. Rebel, rebel. They're rebelling. They're fighting against everything. They want to fight against it. And we wish for their happiness as they do that, which means grouchy goes back here. And I see that you gentlemen correctly identified that as the answer for number 2. Grouchy then, you already had a hint from here, because if he's irritable, that falls in line with grouchy. So take a look at the final answers. Whoops. I wonder if you guys see what I see. Why am I seeing like a double screen? It's really bizarre. Oh. For a moment, I saw a screen on top of a screen. Yes, super, guys. And it's process of elimination when you have that kind of exercise. You're like, I think I know, I'm not sure I know. Start with what you do know. Okay. All right. So right now, let me take it a step further. Anything that you do, like in terms of your studies, especially if you're pulling from movie reviews or from the movie itself, you can work with it so many different ways. So be creative and get all that you can out of an exercise, one either that's created or that you create. So here we have 5 sentences, and we started out by focusing on vocabulary. Now we'll read it again, and we can use it for pronunciation. So if you're watching, Right now, I can pause and you'll repeat after me. If you're watching the recording, you can pause the video and practice a couple of times. Let's say the sentences now that we understand them better. We have all the words that we're missing, and we can also make sure that we're reading it with expression, right? We're going to have thought groups that are often marked by punctuation or by grammar. So for example, I can tell that I'm going to say this as one thought group, right? The words go together and I have an opportunity to breathe to get through the rest of the sentence. Grammar helps me as well. When I have a long subject, I often make that a thought group. Big subject and then the rest of the information. So watch how I read these words. I'm going to mark the thought groups as I read along, okay? The film is set in the 1970s, and both the costumes and hairstyles make this believable. I could also say, and both the costumes and hairstyles make this believable. Try saying that. And both the costumes. Hopefully we have more people joining you in the chat. We also have people watching later, and that's great. Okay, as I said, we have a long subject. So I'm going to break that up. A grouchy and strict teacher at a boarding school has to babysit a group of students who must remain on campus during the winter break. A grouchy and strict teacher at a boarding school has to babysit a group of students who must remain on campus during the winter break. Try that. And what's happening here, if you ever want to mark up a text on your own, knowledge of grammar helps you. Grammar and pronunciation work together. So we speak in thought groups. Prepositional phrases often like to follow. Also, they like to form their own thought groups. Also, you can recognize this as an adjective clause or a relative clause, which also usually likes to be its own thought group. The irritable older man forms a surprising and special connection with a young troublemaker who desperately needs kindness and understanding. I have subject. This is my verb with an object. I have another prepositional phrase and another adjective clause. Try reading that. Manuel, you're a holdover. I just say longtime viewer, dedicated student. Okay. 4, they also bond with the school's head cook, who is grieving for her recently deceased son. So you could do who is grieving for her recently deceased son. If you feel it's a lot to say, you could break it up. I went for it and did 2 thought groups. So here's my big breath, right? If you're ever doing oral reading and you still want to sound smooth, you pause in natural places and then it sounds great, right? If I say they also bond with the school's head cook, it doesn't sound natural. It sounds choppy. So you need to have the thought groups follow the natural breaks. They also bond with the school's head cook, who is grieving for her recently deceased son. Falling intonation at the end. Try that. School's head. No. Manuel, you're saying it's like a pebble in your shoe that bothers you, that makes you irritable. No, grammar is your friend. Grammar does so much for you. It gives you power in your toolkit. Grammar is your power tool for building. And as you see, if you understand grammar, if you have the sense of how our thoughts are put together, then it also helps your pronunciation. So it's a superpower. By the end, you're cheering for each character as they rebel against everything that is beating them down, and you wish for their happiness. I could not say that long sentence without breaths in the middle somewhere. But again, I'm breaking it up logically, naturally. Try that long sentence on your own. Follow my thought groups. Super. So members, what I might do in the follow-up task is work a little more with believable, grouchy, troublemaker, deceased, and rebel or rebel. Okay. And I encourage everyone, go on YouTube after this and check out the trailer for Holdovers. I actually found 2 of them, and see if that appeals to you. I would classify it as a drama. Okay. If you enjoy working with movies and you now are seeing the potential that you can get out of a movie review, right? This is just my little summary of what the movie is about. This is what I do in my movie, what do we want to call it? Like a power pack. That's what I called it, because I've packed it with powerful opportunities to help you with your studies. So this is a free download, guys. If you haven't downloaded it, please do. It's free. What I'm giving you are 10 movie reviews for listening and vocabulary. So I wrote them out. They're like very informal. They're conversational. And then you can just listen, and that's listening practice. You can read along because I'm also giving you some PDFs. So there's 10 MP3s and 10 PDFs. You can listen the first time to see how much you understand. Then you can listen and read along. Then you could also use the script for your own pronunciation practice. I include vocabulary notes, so if there are unfamiliar words, you have something to refer to. And I do go over some more tips. So there's a how-to video. Let me work a little more magic here. Come over here and show you guys. This is a link. So when you come to my YouTube channel, guys, if you click on About, it opens this up, and there's a number of links that would be useful for you. There's my movie power pack, and you come here, just put in your name, address, you get a couple clicks and you can download it. Okay. Oopsies. So I need to go over here, work my little magic, and put that there. Okay. All right, guys. So back to our script, our lesson plan. So again, 10 movie reviews. The Holdovers obviously is not in it because I just watched the Holdovers like a week ago. But there are 10 movie reviews, different genres, and you can use it for listening and vocabulary practice. And as I said, you could take it a step further and use it for pronunciation practice. There are MP3s, PDFs, and there's the how-to video to guide you. Okay. All right, let's move on. And I'm going to test your listening in a special way right now. We haven't done a dictation in a while. So my members, if you're in the chat, you guys can type what you hear. And if you're watching, feel free to write it. So grab a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper, and you can also type as I read. There are 5 sentences I'm going to read for you. The only thing I'll say is that I'm continuing my theme of movies, okay, somewhat related to movies, and I will read each sentence at least 2 or 3 times. I will first read at a natural pace, so it will be fast. I might read again because I know it's hard to catch words in a long sentence and remember them, and then I'll slow it down, okay? Hey, the movie reviews are also posted on Patreon, by the way. So Patreon members have easy access to a number of movie reviews and listening quizzes there. So that's another way to get access. All right, guys, ready? Here we go. Dictation, 5 sentences. Here's the first. Listen up. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm planning to. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm planning to. I think the average person is a film buff, actually. We all love movies these days, don't we? I just love tapping into them as a teacher, which makes me I guess a bit of a film buff. Okay, I'm going to read number 1 slowly. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm planning to. Stunning Lad 1, I see you put it in. Manuel, do you agree with him? I'm also looking for correct punctuation, which is important. I know it's not like a life or death thing, but at the same time, punctuation does help make our written communication more readable, it's clearer. So do I sometimes mess up punctuation? Yes, we all do. Do I sometimes omit, for example, periods when I'm texting? Yes, if I'm doing it fast. But most of the time, I really try to use punctuation in a standard way because I feel it just helps. I want my message to be understood. If you need to review punctuation, I do have a playlist called Writing Skills, and there's a whole set of videos from the past where I go over standard punctuation rules and patterns in American English. Okay. Your hands are full of fingers. Sometimes it's a typing issue too, right? Are you guys better typing with your thumbs on your phone or your fingers on a keyboard? Okay. All right. So let's put what all right. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm planning to. All right. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm planning to. Right. Number 2. Ready? Here we go. Didn't you go to the movies last weekend? Didn't you go to the movies last weekend? There's a bit of that American-British difference in there too. Slowing it down. Didn't you go to the movies last weekend? Close, close, Manuel. Did you hear it when I said it slowly? Slow again. Didn't you go to the movies last weekend? It's a negative question. We use negative questions. We also do it with tag questions when we think we know the answer, but we're just confirming. Didn't you go to the movies last weekend? Right? In American English, we talk about going to the movies, or we could say the movie theater, but we rarely talk about going to the cinema. It makes sense, but we don't say it. We say go to the movies. Or I went to see a movie, went to the theater. All right. Negative question. Didn't you go? Didn't you go? It's really fast, isn't it? There you go, Manuel. Super, super. Just watch capital letters at the beginning. Number 3. Okay, this is the longest one. Ready? It's honestly kind of hard for me to enjoy a movie at the theater if I don't have popcorn. It's honestly kind of hard for me to enjoy a movie at the theater if I don't have popcorn. Okay, when I say it slowly, I'll also look so you can see my mouth. It's honestly kind of hard for me to enjoy a movie at the theater if I don't have popcorn. Last time, slow, because it's a long one. It's honestly kind of hard for me to enjoy a movie at the theater if I don't have popcorn. If I don't have popcorn. I'll go with the beginning again. It's honestly kind of hard for me to enjoy a movie at the theater. There you go. And you even found a popcorn sticker. Okay. It's honestly oh, there's my dog. I think there's a delivery truck out there. Apologies. It's honestly kind of hard for me to, I'm looking at Stunning Lad, to enjoy a movie at the theater, and that's British and American spellings are different, if I don't have popcorn. Popcorn. I hope you guys know popcorn, you know. Oh, I can't go to a movie theater. It's just the smell of popcorn as soon as you walk in. They're popping the corn and it's that salt and the butter. Oh, I know it's not healthy, but you got to have a little bit of popcorn. Okay. Listen to that long sentence again. It's honestly kind of hard for me to enjoy a movie at the theater if I don't have popcorn. That's the longest one we'll have. Okay, do you hear it now? Okay, number 4 is shorter. Ready? I'd call this film a drama, wouldn't you? I'd call this film a drama, wouldn't you? Slowing it down. I'd call this film a drama, wouldn't you? Yes, the movie theaters where I live now, they sell now hot dogs. I think hamburgers are coming and chicken tenders. They're selling now like dinner food, so you can go to the theater and have dinner if you missed your dinner. It's not cheap though. What is they're telling me? It's honestly. Yes. I'd call this film a drama. Whoops, drama. Wouldn't you? Remember with tag questions, we need a comma to separate the tag, right? Listen again with fast speech. I'd call this film a drama, wouldn't you? Super, super. Remember, contractions need apostrophes. Okay, those usually, if you're typing email, it will be underlined if you miss that kind of punctuation. And sometimes in texting too, it will autocorrect, which is nice if it fixes the punctuation for you. Dirty Harry. What are you guys going back to the 70s and 80s? Clint Eastwood. Last one, number 5. Ready? You really shouldn't be texting during a movie. You really shouldn't be texting during a movie. I see your exchange, guys. Saying number 5 slowly. You really shouldn't be texting during a movie. Did you guys get it? And go back to fast speech then. You really shouldn't be texting during a movie. Yes. We'll start with a capital letter. We have a contraction with an apostrophe. You really shouldn't be texting during a movie, ending with a period. Okay? Let me read them one last time so you can see if your ears hear everything now. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm planning to. Didn't you go to the movies last weekend? It's honestly kind of hard for me to enjoy a movie at the theater if I don't have popcorn. I'd call this film a drama, wouldn't you? You shouldn't be texting during a movie. It's honestly kind of super. Okay. There's so many reminders before a film these days, right? To turn your phones off, silence them, don't ruin the movie for others, don't talk, don't call. So most people respect those, respect the etiquette. You know, you're not supposed to interrupt the movie for other people. Okay, so this is a test of your listening and specifically your comprehension of doom, doom, boom, 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 boom. Contractions. Okay. In fast speech, we always use contractions. So you need to be able to hear them. If you have some hesitancy or you're just not fully comfortable saying them, the first step is, can you hear them? So you want to become comfortable hearing contractions, and then you move towards saying them so that you can increase your confidence and accuracy. And that's something that I focused on recently. I'm encouraging people to master contractions. It came to my attention a while ago that learners were avoiding them. And this happens in private lessons when people have a text there, they'll read it for me. And even though there's a contraction, they'll read the full form because it's simpler, it's easier and clearer. And it's like, no, if you see the contraction, we need to read the contraction. So I'd love to help you hear them and say them accurately. This is not a freebie, but I have packed this digital bundle with lots of resources specifically to help you with contractions. There's an MP3 recording of drills, a PDF text, a how-to video, bonus MIDI video tutorials. So you've got more help on flap T and glottal stops. Like if you didn't hear shouldn't, don't, that's a glottal stop, right? Or it'll, that's a flap T. So I go over those kinds of sounds. I also include a poem and a conversation. So it's packed with quite a lot. And I'm going to put that link in there for you too. Okay, so again, if you come to my channel and you click about, you'll see all the links here, and contractions will take you to this link here. Okay, so if you want to check out everything that I'm offering, whoops, where are we going? Right here. I will put this here. Okay. So you can check that out. Okay, guys. So I've shared 2 resources. The free one is the Movie Power Pack. All right, get it today if you haven't downloaded it yet. Totally free, guys. So you can work on listening, vocabulary, and even pronunciation. If you want to take your studies even further, you don't learn English and master it in a day, a week, or even a year, guys. There are people who you dedicate time to this. There are levels of fluency, and each year you sense your gains, your achievements, and you focus on different things. So if you are at this point where you understand me quite well, but you yourself are not using contractions with confidence, then I really encourage you to consider that. Okay, so again, go back to this part of the live stream, the recording, and listen again. See if you can hear the sentences the first time when I say them fast and naturally. Okay, all right, moving on. Now we're moving into requests, things that people have requested me to talk about today, and one of them is how to be concise in our speaking and writing, specifically writing. So being concise is not using too many words. In conversation, we can kind of get away with it, but usually people want us to get to the point. This is especially true when you're writing emails or any kind of written communication. You probably don't want to use way too many words. You just want to use the words that are necessary to convey your message. That's about being concise. true. Well, and sometimes, so here's another thing I'm going to note, Manuel. Contractions are part of a conversational tone, so you have to pay attention to what kind of tone you're using. If you're writing an email, what kind of tone are you going for? Because if you don't use contractions, you might start creating more of a formal tone, and maybe that's not the relationship that you have with the person who's receiving your message. So it might be like, why is this person sounding so formal? Right? So you've got to be careful. And you also want to be careful not to keep mixing it up. We've all done it, but we try to be consistent. If you're using a conversational tone and you've started with some contractions, you should have contractions throughout your text, whether it's an email or a report or movie review, whatever. So be consistent. Either you use contractions or you don't, but using them or not using them will affect the level of formality. Okay. All right. Being concise. There are 5 tips that I'm going to offer today. This is not a complete list, but these are 5 tips I will share with you. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. All right. Boop, boop, boop. Let me go down a teeny bit. How's that? Okay, tip 1, consider alternatives to there is, there are. A lot of people who teach writing skills say, be careful with there is, there are. It can be overused and it's not always effective. There's usually a more dynamic, exciting way to write that sentence, right? So there are several new films that will come out this summer. We don't really need this. We could write it a different way by taking that out. Right? What is the subject? Could we not just start with the movies, the films? And if we take that out, here's our subject. We just need the verb. Several new films will come out this summer. Again, so maybe what I should do is go like this. I'm going to go with track changes so you can see what I did exactly. Okay? Several new films will come out this summer. That's concise. And again, there is, there are, it doesn't help, right? Let's just get straight to what we're talking about, the subject. Okay. 2, consider if a relative or adjective clause is the most concise structure. So they do serve us well sometimes, but if you look at a paragraph or an email and you have a lot of adjective clauses, chances are you probably could take 1 or 2 of them out. You don't want to overuse them. If you have adjective clauses all over the place, it also sounds kind of repetitive. So movies that have a lot of action usually do well on a big screen. Where's the adjective clause? Adjective clauses follow a noun and they identify or describe that noun. So I'm talking about movies. And I'm basically saying movies usually do well on a big screen. And then I'm being more specific. Which kind of movies? Movies that have a lot of action. So I'm going to ask my 2 active members there, how could I take this clause out? I want the adjective clause out, but I still want to keep the most important part of that information and make it more concise. Yes, you can say will come out, will be released. Come out is a phrasal verb. Will be released sounds a little bit more formal. Suggestions. If you're watching the recording, maybe you also have an idea how to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words out and just keep 1. Right? We talk about action movies. That would be more concise. Action movies usually do well on a big screen. That's why you go to the theater. So you see it, and then the speakers are shaking, your chair is shaking. If they're in a car race, for example, some people find that very exciting. Other people think, oh my gosh, that's way too much. It's overstimulating. But some people really enjoy that experience, and they like seeing action movies on a big screen in the theater with a Dolby surround sound, right? Okay, 3, consider if a prepositional phrase is the most concise structure. Prepositional phrases, they start with, for, at, etc. So I love movies with seats that can recline. Well, here's a prepositional phrase, and I also have an adjective clause, seats that can recline. So again, I want to take all of this out. Not all of it, but I trapped myself into this. I think this one actually goes back up here. Let me take this back. Where was my head when I wrote that? I'm going to take this out. Actually, I'm going to give you guys this one. I think this one would serve us better up here, in which case we need to write a new example here. Right. Okay, so I'll give you 2 to look at. This one is similar. Actually, I want to keep the preposition, but I want to take care of this. What kind of seats? And then the other one I'm asking you to look at is this one, and I do want to get rid of the prepositional phrase. So, yes, okay, I like what you're doing here. The idea is that we don't need this if we can take recline and make it an adjective. We talked earlier about ed and ing, like deceased. This is reclining, right? ing and ed adjectives. Reclining, so it's active. The seats do something. They recline. So I love movie theaters with reclining seats. What about the popcorn? You'd fall asleep. Oh no, not if it's an action movie, because it's comfortable and it does feel like you're almost ready to sleep, but you're still watching the screen, and the action would keep you awake, and the loud sounds and music would keep you awake too. Okay, doing well, guys? Yes, again, what are we doing? We can take this out and think about how to create an adjective, a single word adjective. Salted, right? S-A-L-T-E-D, S-A-L-T-E-D, salted popcorn. ED adjectives are passive in nature because something has been done to the popcorn. I love salted popcorn. 4, consider omitting words that add unnecessary comments. You know, not all movies need to be a masterpiece to be enjoyable, for goodness sake. This is perfectly fine as just a comment, but if I were writing it, I could be more concise. So commentary, thing like, you know, we don't really need to add that kind of word, right? Some people say, oh, it's good to write like you speak. Yes and no. There's a conversational tone, but when we speak, there are sometimes false starts and filler words and comments, and you don't really need all of that in your writing. So not all movies need to be, oops, sorry, we're missing a word here. A masterpiece, to be enjoyable. And this too, I'm going to help you out so we can move along. Doop. Well, this is all we need to say. Not all movies need to be a masterpiece to be enjoyable. Now, of course, we could take this further and think to be, we don't need repetition like that, but it's already improved because we omitted what is not necessary. Okay, that's just step number 1. I'm going to push on to tip 5 because I want to get on to we have one more mini topic I'd love to cover. Tip 5, common words for emphasis aren't usually needed. We can use them, it's fine, but if you're looking for a way to cut down words, and this happens like if you ever have to meet a word limit, these kinds of words can be deleted. Very, really, truly, right? So think about that as I read this sentence. The Wedding Singer is really funny, and you'll enjoy it if you truly love music from the 1980s. True. Okay. Stunning Lad 1, I see your variation with masterpieces, the plural. That could work. Manuel, yes. If you're paying good money, which you often have to do these days at theaters, they are not cheap tickets, and the refreshments are not cheap either. So you hope that you're going to see a very well-made film. It's true. But I can say there are films that I've seen and I've enjoyed. I wouldn't pay money to see them again, but I'm glad that I saw them the first time. Yeah. And these days we can watch a lot of movies at home. Our screens have good quality, right? We can turn up the volume if our neighbors don't mind. Look for the words that can be taken out here. So we're going to take out really. We're going to take out truly. And I would keep enjoy and love rather than using enjoy twice. Yep. Okay. So these are just some tips you can review. We have time to do one together, and then I'll put the other one, number 2, in on the community tab for my members to work with. So here's one very long sentence. I'll go a little bigger like that. Can you see it? Okay. There are good actors with a lot of talent, but in all honesty, they should be able to know a good script from a bad one, because skill at acting cannot really save a bad storyline. Go even bigger. I'll give you a moment to think, and then I'll offer my suggestions. Apply the tips that we just went over and make this statement more concise. Lose the words that are not necessary. I'm going to count the words here. 35 words. We can do better. I think there's a way, but all of this especially, most of it can be deleted. What do you think? DiCaprio, Pacino, Nero, Sharon Stone. I have not seen Sharon Stone in a long time. Have you? Is she still working? I haven't seen the last. Gosh, when I think about Sharon Stone, I think of like The Quick and the Dead. But I can't. What has she done in the most recent years? I'd be curious to know. Robert De Niro has been active. He's been present in a lot of films. Yes. Okay, look, there are don't need. Prepositional phrase, don't need. Commentary, don't need. So we're just going to take actors and the idea that they have talent. So we're going to say, like Stunning Lad 1 said, talented actors. Okay, you could do need to know. Need is fine, but you change the meaning a little bit. You can keep should. I would argue you don't need this. Should be able to, should know. Why do you need be able to? Right? So you could say need to know, but that's 3 words. I'm going for 2. Talented actors should know a good script from a bad one because, yes, we don't need this prepositional phrase. Skillful acting, you can turn it into an adjective. Whoops, did I write skillful? Yes. Skillful acting cannot really save a bad storyline. And again, we don't need really. You can change bad to poor, that's fine. If you don't want to repeat bad, yes, I would accept that suggestion to change it to poor. Talented actors should know a good script from a bad one because skillful acting cannot save a poor storyline. Poor, weak, right? Oh, thank you. Look at my flying bird. We're soaring today. I'm telling you guys, grammar helps you. It's a power tool. Make it your superpower, right? It helps you with your pronunciation, helps you with your writing. So that is a great exercise on writing more concisely. We just have a few minutes left. If you stick around, I will probably go just a little past the hour, but I will make it worthwhile, okay? I'm going to whiz by that second one and just say, members, you will get more practice, all right? Let me go to the final question. This is a good one. What about adjectives like delighted? Adjectives are often followed by prepositional phrases. And the confusing thing is that sometimes more than one preposition is possible. So the question came in, could we practice the following prepositions about, at, with, over? As you know, with some sentences, all 4 seem to fit. So with delighted, do we say delighted about her recent success? Amy looked forward to her first day at work. Delighted about, delighted at, delighted with, delighted over. It's possible, but does one work better than the rest? Probably. If you go to the dictionaries, this is a great place to start. There are different learner dictionaries. A regular dictionary will not highlight grammar for you, but a learner dictionary will. So Longman and the Britannica, which is associated with Merriam-Webster, these are my 2 favorite ones. So I'm going to take you over here, and we're going to look at examples and see a pattern. Okay, so you type in delighted and look at the examples. First of all, they also recognize infinitives. Delighted to do, you can also use a that clause, delighted that. Here we go with the prepositions. Delighted with her new home, something physical, something she can use. Delighted by the result delighted her. It's a passive construction, right? That's by at. I don't see an example of at. We can come down here. Delighted. Let's see here. They have more examples. I'm looking for delighted at. They mostly focus on delighted with plus infinitive, which tells you that people often use it with infinitives. Delighted to hear, delighted to say, delighted to see. Okay, but we see a couple patterns here. Delighted with something physical that you use and enjoy, and delighted by the result, like a situation. Let me take the next one and watch and see if we find similar examples, similar uses. This is the Britannica from Merriam-Webster. Again, they have an infinitive, and then down here, delighted that, delighted with her new job, right? Something that she does. Delighted by the performance, some sort of thing that has an effect on you. Delighted at the prospect. Aha. So I would suggest looking for patterns that often with is some sort of an object. Delighted with whoops, so I don't want to do this. Get this out. With her new home, the new product, something like that, with her purchase. Okay, so often what happens is something physical that you use, that you enjoy. It's some kind of object. That's a pattern. Again, patterns can be broken, but we're looking for patterns that we can follow. If we follow the general patterns, then it will sound more natural. Okay? Right. Delighted by, we saw delighted by the results, the performance. So there's some sort of situation outside of you that affected you, right? The performance was delighted by it. So delighted by the compliment. I had nothing to do with the compliment. Someone gave it to me and it delighted me. So I think if it's beyond you and it affects you, then we can use by. Delighted by the results, delighted by the performance, delighted by the review. If someone gave me a review and said, hey, it's wonderful, check out her website, check out her channel, I'd be delighted by the review, by the recommendation, the compliment, for example. Delighted at her success. Did they give us an at? They didn't. Let me jump back here. They say at, but they didn't use at. Another place to go, guys, Youglish. I've often recommended this one, and watch how you can use Youglish. Some people say to use it for pronunciation. I say you can use it for grammar. So I'm going to look for delighted and look for patterns. Delighted plus infinitive. Delighted plus infinitive. That's delighted plus a that clause. Delighted plus an infinitive. Lots of infinitives. Well, then we try this. How about delighted with? Delighted with it. Delighted with the result. So there's patterns. By the result, with the result. With the turnout, meaning how many people came. Delighted with the story. And there's over 1,000 hits for delighted with. If I change it to at, it cut down. So it tells me, okay, delighted at is used, but less. So numbers do help tell a story. Delighted at how many people? I'm not sure about the full context. Delighted at, delighted at. We also saw in the examples, delighted at the prospect. And you can see if that's something that other people use. Like, okay, 5. So it is used, maybe not a lot, but it's a possibility. Okay, so that's another way to feed in delighted and see what patterns come up. And then if you want to compare delighted at, delighted with, delighted by, check out the results. Look at the numbers too. Another thing I've done is you can go to Google or to Yahoo. Let's see, delighted at. And I will specifically focus on the news and see what comes up. Oh, they actually delighted with, delighted at the new role. I'm not seeing a lot of hits. Delighted with, a reunion. I like the news, and I also like books, because these are edited publications. Delighted with the proposal. Okay. Delighted with, delighted about. Is anyone using about? Let's switch back to the news. About their interest, about their partnership, about changes. So yes, people use it. The final one I'll mention, besides Youglish, bookmark this one, just the word. So if you go to just the word and you put in delighted, you can see patterns. Okay, look at this. Delighted with, in, at, and by. By far, delighted with has the most. But you're still thinking, but I want to use at. Does anyone use at? Well, let's look. And when you look at the results, again, look for patterns or common phrases. Delighted at the idea, delighted at the response, delighted at the chance to do something, at the result. Okay? At the response, I see coming up again. Delighted at the prospect, that came up again. So just the word is another wonderful resource that can help with collocations. I'm not seeing about, but that doesn't mean it's not used. If we go to Yahoo, we can do delighted, delighted about, and I'm going to put it in quotes to see who's using it. It's actually quite big. Look, 23 million hits, but I'm going to switch that over to news. Okay, look at news and also look at books. That helps. Okay, so again, you have a number of resources to tap into. Whoops, where am I? Okay, go to the learner's dictionaries, go to Youglish, go to Just the Word. You can do searches on Google and Yahoo. I'm going to recommend what the dictionary has with, by, and at. About and over are probably used, but maybe less so, and they're not recommended patterns by the dictionaries. With, I'm going to suggest like something physical that you use. Delighted with the purchase, the product, home. Delighted by something outside of you. Delighted at what? The chance to do something. At the prospect of blah, 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 meaning the thought of doing something. Okay? So look for patterns, look for collocations. These are other sources that you can use, and I'm going to invite my members to create some examples following this advice with, by, and at. I'm not saying you can't use about and over, people do. And you could also go to look into movies, like Get Yarn is another site, and see are people using it. Maybe the dictionary doesn't recommend it, but hey, I've heard it, Jennifer, in movies, you say. So you could go to Get Yarn and think, I've heard it. I bet other people say it. And you check it out. Delighted about? Who uses delighted about? I'm not seeing delighted, see, I'm not finding it. But if I do delighted with, I'm seeing some delighted. Oh, sorry, I'm inappropriate things here. Be careful with Get Yarn, guys. They will call up results that are not fully appropriate. Warning, okay? Delighted over sounds odd. Right, so I would stick to the ones that we just highlighted, with, by, and at. Okay? I'm delighted by your participation. I've been delighted with your active participation. I could use both, possibly. Okay? All right, guys, we're going to be ending. If there are no further questions, I didn't see any further questions come up. So I'm just simply going to thank you and remind you to get certain downloads, right? We talked about the contractions and we talked about the movie Power Pack. Check out all the links. Just open up About and you'll see all the things I'm able to offer you. Okay? All right, I'm going to wrap this up and say goodbye and wish you a pleasant weekend. Thank you, Manuel and Stunning Lad 1. For those watching, I also wish you a wonderful weekend. Members, please come to the community tab and I will be posting follow-up tasks to give you further practice with the vocabulary and with the skills that we also worked on, like writing concisely and using prepositions. There will be a follow-up task on the community tab just a little bit later today. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you and happy studies.